Inside dozens of teens in jail.
The biggest stories.
We begin with that breaking news in Gwinnett County tonight. You need reports that sum it all up, and we get that. Watch tonight at 11 o'clock.
Watching out for you, a Fox 5 I-Team investigation.
Some airport vendors who lost out in the lucrative airport food and shopping contract want the bids reevaluated to make sure that politics didn't drive the decision. The Atlanta City Council is set to vote on the potential billion-dollar contract in early January.
That's right, and our I-Team has obtained copies of the bid scoring sheets and talked to winning and losing vendors. Senior I-Team reporter Dale Russell is now here with their concerns.
Yeah, it's very interesting. The losing bidders are upset with what those scoring sheets show. Now, most would not talk to us on camera, but they also say what surprised them is not that politically connected bidders won, but how much they won.
Would I say that something does appear to be incorrect? Yes.
Brian Malouf was told his bar, Manuel's Tavern, was just what the city wanted at the airport. Legendary local businesses that say Atlanta. So he bid, but he lost. And he isn't convinced he had an even playing field.
Something along the way has gone wrong.
The city wants to replace most of its food, beverage, and retail locations throughout the airport and select vendors for the new international terminal.
I understand this is the largest food and beverage solicitation in the world.
But when the bids came in, the city announced 43% of all proposals had mistakes that could have caused them to be thrown out, including some bidders with strong political connections. Even though there were 54 bid packages still eligible, the city decided to start all over. Industry insiders were stunned.
Sure doesn't look right.
The I-Team has obtained the scoring sheets for all the bids, and we've talked to some of the losing vendors. They've asked us who were the people who evaluated these bids, and why did a small handful of politically connected vendors seem to dominate the winner's circle. Many vendors point us to Mac Wilburn, an airport concessionaire for some 25 years. He's also held fundraisers for Mayor Kasim Reed. Wilburn was a participant with several bidders, often competing against each other on the same package. In the end, he won on every single package he was a part of.
For so many others to be excluded that turned in packages that were just as competitive seems short-sighted.
Brian Malouf doesn't understand it. Manuel's Tavern, an iconic Atlanta bar for 55 years, was partnered with Bulldog legend Herschel Walker. They finished sixth in scoring. Daniel Halpern won that bid. They also partnered with Figo, a local Italian restaurant, on another bid. Score sheets show evaluators gave them low scores for concept, business plan, and experience. They lost to Mac Wilburn's group that included 3 out-of-state companies, including one from California, Ruby's Diner.
How does a business of 55 years lose out to a business out of California that doesn't even have a presence in the Southeast?
I think the government, railroaded me.
Wilburn, though highly successful at the airport, has also been involved in controversy there. In the early 90s, he was indicted in an airport corruption case. He was tried and found not guilty by a jury. Can we talk to you a couple of seconds before you get in? Daniel Halpern, Mayor Reed's campaign co-chairman, was part of 3 multi-location big company winning bids, and he too also won a small bid. According to score sheets obtained by the I-Team, Halpern won his small bid even though he had the lowest possible score a responsive bidder can have for financial capability, 1. He scored high in concept, business plan, and experience. Between them, Mac Wilburn and Daniel Halpern will be involved in nearly 15% of all new available food and beverage spaces.
So you don't feel politics had any play in this at all?
I don't think so. In fact, I'm sure of it.
Airport General Manager Lewis Miller says he's excited about the new businesses coming to the airport. He says 3 different panels of 5 trained city workers spent 1,800 hours evaluating the various packages. He calls it the best, most open process he's seen in his career. He says Mayor Reed had no involvement and there was no politics.
Is it just a coincidence that the best proposals came from people who also happen to be some of the best supporters of the mayor?
Must be, because they weren't selected because of being supporters of the mayor.
We're hearing that the process was not fair and not transparent.
William Perry is director of the government watchdog group Common Cause. Perry says vendors have told him they want the city council to slow down and to reevaluate the bids.
The contractors that are calling us are saying we did not receive an impartial review because some of the relationships. They want the city council to take the time and see if relationships were impartial and learn about the process.
Now, some believe that the biggest winner in the contract was HMS Host. That's a giant international company. It's been at the airport a long time. But they also won 3 multi-location bids. Now, Mayor Reed's spokesperson points out Host was not a big contributor to his campaign. She also said the mayor has returned contributions from other airport vendors since the food proposals went out, and she says he was not involved in the solicitation, the evaluation, or the selection of the concession winners.
Yeah, the contractors who are upset, maybe they're correct that some things don't look the way they ought to look, but how do they prove it?
It's so difficult, Russ, and that's why very rarely do you see protests in cases like this. Sometimes you do, and sometimes you see lawsuits. It's very hard to win those things because you've got to get into the minds of 15 different people that did this collaborative evaluation, if you will, and try to decide what did they see when they looked at the proposals. What's frustrating to us and to some of the other people is, as a journalist, we can't go in and look at them yet until this thing is all over with to evaluate for ourselves. Does it look like they did a good job? Lewis Miller insists they did, says it's the best job he's seen in his 43 years in his career. And so we'll just have to see how it plays out as it goes to the city council.
All right, Dale, I know you'll be keeping up with the details on this one.
We will be there on January 3rd.
Yes, indeed. All right. Thanks, Dale.
Thanks.
Time now for